I'm not convinced it ain't no acting or accident what the track emits. You strapped with gas that you ain't even practiced with. The fact is, you couldn't hit the...
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries, where we got to talk about Monday Night Raw. I wish I didn't have to talk about Monday Night Raw. It was actually, we could just talk about the last 30 minutes of Raw, which was awesome. But that other 2.5 hours, oh boy. Yuck. But I think we could find some quality entertainment in some of this stuff. So even if it's not in what WWE produced, maybe through me filtering it, we can do something fun. So, but first, news and notes. So WWE 2K posted the rosters of all the wrestlers who will be in the game, and it featured about 35 talent who were already released. I don't know how many of them were. I think it was about 30 or 35 of them. I know there's two different types of Mia Yim. So if you're a big fan of Mia Yim, you better get a double scoop. You'll get Mia Yim and Reckoning. I mean, I think Mia Yim sucks. But apparently somebody liked her enough to put her in the game twice. So I do question whether she gets 2 paychecks. Or is that 1 paycheck? I don't know. But apparently there's a boatload of them. And people have been talking all day about the various wrestlers who are going to be in the game who don't work there anymore. I don't know if I told you guys this story about Mark Jindrak, who said he got $10,000 paycheck. He didn't know where it came from. Like, he was busted and dusted out here in these streets, and he wasn't entirely sure where it came from. And then, because he had gotten fired from WWE and he was struggling, and he found out that he was still in the game, and they gave him a 5-figure payout for, of course, his likeness in the video game. So, whoever put those 35 people in the game, man, oh man. If some of them just got paid $10,000, that's a lot of loot. That's a lot of loot. Now, there was a question of why did some people, like Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, and The Fiend Bray Wyatt, they were not featured in the game, even though they were released after some of the other people. And then why there was no Zelina Vega, no Paige, no Doudrop, some of those questions. The thing about the upper end talent, what I would imagine the Bryan Danielson or the Bray Wyatts, I would imagine they were taken out of the game probably because their cut of the merchandise is probably pretty high. Like, if it doesn't cost you that much to put, Keith Lee into the game, then Keith Lee, why go through the trouble of taking him out? But it was going to cost you a grip to take Bray Wyatt out of the game, or it cost you a grip to take Bryan Danielson out of the game, then, it depends. Because taking people out of the game is expensive too. So that means that somebody actively said these guys cannot be in the game, which probably meant they probably got pretty solid points on their merch sales, which means they're probably looking at a pretty big paycheck that those guys probably would have gotten for being in the game. And it's really strange that those guys specifically are not in the game, and Adam Cole hasn't been gone that long. And, for him to not be in the game is weird. Of course, Bray Wyatt not to be in the game, a little weird, especially when Lana is in it, so if people way back in the Lana, Tegan Nox is in the game, so I mean, but that would be, I'm guessing they made that decision based on the amount of money they would have had to pay out. That's my guess. If they would have looked at it and said, okay, this is the points that we give Keith Lee on whatever, or Karrion Kross and Scarlett or whatever, versus this is how much we would have had to pay Bray Wyatt. We can spend some money to take Bray out. That'll save us some cash and maybe some time and everything because of how animated his character has to be. That would be my guess. Why certain characters are in the game, like why Paige and Thick Boy aren't in the game, I have no idea. That would just probably be that they want to save certain people for downloadable content, which is, I hate downloadable content. That's why I don't game anymore. To me, you buy a video game, you want the fucking video game. I know that Capcom made it a big deal that we're going to just re-release the same game 100 times with minor changes. Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Fire Edition, and all that bullshit. You know, I know that Capcom kind of started it way back in the 90s. But that downloadable content, we're just going to change the game on the fly. I hate that. And you have to spend money to in-game purchases. Oh, no. I jumped out of the game and before I even got into that. But this is worth talking about because it's a very interesting subject as far as I'm concerned. Because you have to ask the question, why is certain people in the game and why certain people aren't? And it's not arbitrary. My guess would probably be it costs more to put certain guys in the game than others. That would be my guess. And anybody who didn't make the cut, more than likely, they was just saving them for downloadable content anyway. So Paige tripping out on Twitter like, where am I? It's like, yeah, she just wants that check. she wants you like, wait a minute, I had spent that money already. What are you doing? She'll get in there eventually. I think there was a big stink about Lita not being in the game. She'll get in there. Come on. If this was again like a 2000s era game and she wasn't in it, then I can see why you would make a big deal of it. Because that's a missed paycheck. They're not going to go back and re-release the goddamn game. But in today's world, they'll just, ship it out. And you can probably some kind of something that they'll do where she'll get something. So Paige can chill out. Thick Boy can stop acting like he's not pressed about not being in the game. Everybody else can sit back and say, we got more WWE paychecks coming. That's great. So that's excellent. So that's nice. Let's see. What other news and notes are there? All right. So there's this awkward story that I saw that I want to talk about. Apparently the former SmackDown announcer, Tony Chimmel, now works at Trader Joe's. He was released from his WWE contract in 2020. And, a lot of people have kind of been laughing at him. And this is where I put on my blue collar hat. There's a thing that Martin Luther King used to say. That is, there's dignity in all work. Sure, he used to be on TV every week. But I think Tony Chimmel, the interview said he was 60 now. And they kind of was moving on from him. There's nothing wrong with him going out and finding another job. Yes, it's a big step down. You would think that the company would find him something to do. He would be like the producer of ring announcers or something like that. Just saying. I'm not saying that that's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm just saying. But there's nothing wrong with him working at Trader Joe's. There's this big put. I think when is there a movie star they really recently did this too? Like he was working in Walmart or something like that. And people were like, oh, how the mighty have fallen. He's gone from WrestleMania to working at Trader Joe's. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, that sucks. But don't try to embarrass the guy. Like, stop trying to humiliate him. That's fucked up to me. Don't do that. Everybody gets old. Everybody can't do, and times change, They weren't going to allow him to continue doing ring announcing for Raw and SmackDown well into his 60s. It just was not going to happen. They pretty much pushed Howard Finkel out when he got old too. So they're they have an age limit for everybody. Hell, and it's pretty much around the board because Vince even said up to a point he didn't even want to be on TV anymore. When he got to a certain age, he took himself off TV. It's only recently that he actually put himself back on TV. So we're dealing with a situation here where I think people are just trying to embarrass the guy, and I don't like that. He lived a pretty good life for a long time. He is, the voice of some people's childhoods. Howard Finkel was my guy when I was growing up, and there's a different generation of kids who, Tony Chimmel was their guy. The rated R superstar, that guy, and why would you want to try to tarnish that? It's just very ugly stuff. I know that sometimes people like to do that "where are they now" thing, but just let's not do that. I hate that. I hate when people, because it's almost always backwards, and especially in show business, very few of them go on to do bigger and better things. Most people go back to normal, mundane, everyday lives, and it is what it is. I don't believe in him trying to humiliate people because they took a step out of the limelight. Like, he's probably made a lot of money. He has to do something to spend his time. There's something to be said about, hey, I'm going to retire and go chill on my boat or whatever the case may be. You still want to have time to do things. You're not at 60. You're an old man, but you're not dead. You still feel like you have something to contribute. So it's hard to say, but I think people should stop trying to humiliate Tony Chimmel. All right, let's finally get into Raw, because I can't find any more news and notes. Maybe I'll find something later on. All right, so we started this episode of Raw in absolutely terrible fashion. A 20-minute talking segment featuring Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Alpha Academy. They have now, because everybody is starting to get over when it comes to Alpha Academy, they're starting to blow their gimmicks out of proportion. The shoosh, shoosh. Now they're just saying it. Shoosh, shoosh. And they're just saying it and saying it and saying it. When they got to the point where it was them going back and forth, Kevin Owens and Chad Gable, I was ready to turn the TV off and go to bed. Legit. I was that early into the show. I was ready to be like, fuck this show. It's not getting better than this. It's not going to get better than this. I was ready to quit. The content of this conversation was that there was no content. What more can you say outside of we're about to have a match? And they didn't even say that. But, we're going to be in the same tag team match next week, and we're going to be the tag team champions, and we want to be the tag team champions. The crux of the whole thing, the only thing that felt meaty in this whole thing, was that Kevin Owens told them, this isn't personal. We just want to go to WrestleMania, and the only way we can get to WrestleMania is if we're the tag team champions. So this isn't personal. And then Chad Gable said that you guys have had your shot. Seth Rollins has main event at WrestleMania. Both of you guys have been on WrestleManias before. Me and Otis have never been on WrestleMania before. And this is our opportunity. This is our chance. That's the meatiest part of this whole thing. It felt like, and this was buried in all of the gimmicks. All of the Seth freaking Rollins, and Kevin Owens hates Texas, and he's wearing a quirky hat. Look at him. And shoosh, shoosh. Oh, thank you. Shoosh. All that bullshit. You found something that was actually good. Putting over how important it is to be on this show, on WrestleMania. And you buried it in a bunch of garbage. This was all garbage. Absolute trash. Anyway, they had the match. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens win, which of course was the point. Okay, that's fine. They're proving that Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins are a viable tag team by having them beat the other two tag teams that are in the match. Later on, they once again talk about combining the tag team championships and unifying the titles, and Kevin Owens is still preoccupied with Texas. Earlier in the show, Kevin Owens has promised Seth Rollins that he was not going to be distracted by his hatred of Texas that, came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, as many times he's been in Texas, all of a sudden he hates Texas. So there that go. I'm hoping that this Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens thing ends in them wrestling each other rather than another tag team match. I'm hoping this ends with them, either them or RK Bro wrestling each other, but it probably won't be RK Bro. So the Street Profits, they cut a promo about, the tag team division needs saving from Alpha Academy because they're dorks. At the end of their promo, Montez Ford did a trust fall into D'Angelo Dawkins, who dragged him away. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. Then the Street Profits defeated RK Bro in what clearly was not supposed to be the finish to this match. Montez Ford absolutely destroyed Randy Orton. I'm not so sure if it was Randy Orton's rib cage or his head, neck, shoulders. I hope it wasn't his shoulders, because we know Randy Orton has such a rough thing with his shoulders. But he did not kick out of that frog splash. I mean, Tez crushed him. He killed Randy with that frog splash. Was it reckless? I saw a lot of people saying, well, it was reckless. I don't know if it was reckless, but he definitely got a lot of air on that joint. He definitely got it. And where he landed was a little weird too, because he landed on the chest area. Instead of in the stomach, he landed on the chest. Yeah, you got to give Tez, the blame for it. I mean, he's obviously the one in control of the move, but it's a freak accident. Hopefully he didn't just have his stupid moment where he gets to the back, gets chewed out, and now the Street Profits are about to be, getting dragged through the dirt and grime for the next, 2 years. It was a freak accident. I know Randy's a little bit more mellow than he used to be, so hopefully he's not going to fully flip the fuck out on Montez Ford. Hopefully. Let us all pray. Let us all pray that he's not going to act an ass out there. But clearly, the referee just counts through. Referee did his job. It was weird. It looked like they tried to put Randy's foot on the ropes, but he didn't make it. And then after the match, Randy stayed down, and like the referee asked him a question, and he shook his head no. He clearly was finished. He clearly was hurt. So I guess we're just going to be waiting to see what the injury is. Maybe the Street Profits will take RK Bro's spot in that match next week, and you can build a story out of that. Hopefully you can build a story out of that. But my guess, my hope was that the RK Bro breakup or the Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens breakup was going to occur on that show. And we build WrestleMania through that. Because they've been pushing that whole we're best friends stuff a little too heavy. And whenever they do that, you already know the heel turn is coming. All right. Moving on. Omos was on this show for some reason. He talked about all the people he dominated, and T-Bar is the biggest person he's ever wrestled, and he's going to dominate him too. He attacked T-Bar before the match. T-Bar valiantly fought through it, still got beat up, tree slammed and won. Both of these guys were off TV for months. You can't, for starters, the crowd dead. Crowd is absolutely dead. No one cares. You could hear a rat pissing on cotton. That's how dead this crowd was. This crowd was dead. Dead. But what else is it supposed to be? Neither one of these guys have been on TV in a month. When the last time Omos was on TV before now? Nerds, please help me. When was the last time Omos was on this show? When was the last time T-Bar was on this show? I think the last time T-Bar was on this show was when he wrestled Damian Priest. I don't think he's been on this show since. So you've got two guys who, if they had any momentum, which they don't, they are, for starters, is T-Bar even a babyface? That's the question I want to know. Like, when did he turn babyface? I don't know. But they have no momentum. There's nothing behind them. They haven't been on TV. So, of course, this match is not over. And, of course, nobody believes that T-Bar is going to win because you haven't done anything to make people believe that Omos is even going to sell for people, let alone take a L. It was a waste of everybody's time. I hate to say this, but they probably got to start over. Remember when Omos was so over that, they put him in the ring with Lashley and people were standing up? Yeah, that seemed like it was a long time ago. It wasn't. It wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago. Now Omos gets, cicadas in the background when he comes out. It's part of their fault. They turned him too soon. They turned him way too soon. I get it that they turned him clearly because they wanted to get AJ out of that tag team, but Omos was not ready. He was not ready to turn. They should have left him as the babyface and then turned him later. But whatever. All right, so the 6-woman tag, Doudrop, Becky Lynch, and Nikki Ash were defeated by Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Liv Morgan. There was some real cringe dialogue here. Nikki Ash, of course, said she's the real superhero. She's the only superhero this show needs. Doudrop says she's willing to play the villain. And Becky Lynch, all she cares about is winning and doing whatever it takes to win. Liv Morgan wants to strategize and says that she doesn't expect an easy night. Rhea Ripley's strategy is brutality. And Bianca Belair says that she owes Becky a KOD. This match was actually kind of fun. You know, if they'd gave this match, hate to say it, a little bit more time, this probably would have been a better part of the show. Bianca Belair, of course, they did the whole Becky Lynch working the hair thing, in which, you know, Becky Lynch stood on her hair, pulled on her hair, yanked on her hair. I'm really thinking about the long-term effects of pulling and yanking on everything on Bianca Belair's hair. Like if that's her real hair, which I have been told that it is, how can they be just pulling it like this? I would think that after, I don't know, she 30? Let's say she wrestles till she's about 36 or 37. That's 5 or 6 years. You know how many times you could do the big leg drop before you need a hip replacement. You know, Hogan learned that. You know, so how many times can she have her head and neck yanked on before eventually people are going to be like, okay, we got to stop this. Now, I did see some people say, like, okay, they're going to end up cutting her hair eventually. I think that's a great gimmick. You know, it's a prize for like El Santo's mask. I know El Santo was the biggest luchador to ever exist, but you know El Santo's never going to lose his mask. But it's fun for him to put it on the line. Why not do something silly where Bianca Belair's favorite match is the hair match, and people just keep trying to cut her hair? You know, that'd be sweet. People need specialty matches. But back to this match, Bianca Belair ended up whipping Becky Lynch with her hair, putting welts all over Becky's body. They didn't save it. The thing about Sasha, she saved it for WrestleMania to get the big welt on the rib cage, which was a great visual. Becky got 3 or 4 of them, but it was on Raw. You know, I guess you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, but you know, that whip, that's something else, man. That shit crazy. But it makes all her matches pretty much interesting and different from everybody else's matches. So, Bianca Belair with the KOD on Nikki Ash, right decision. Robert Roode versus Tommaso Ciampa. Any pretext of Tommaso Ciampa maybe getting a push, forget it. Just forget it. They changed his theme song to something that is so generic and awful that I didn't even hear it. I don't even know what it is. WWE is so fucking cheap. How could you have billions of dollars in profits and you won't spend a lick of you won't have video packages anymore? I'm talking video packages for the entrances, Titantrons. Remember, they used to have Titantrons, not just the name and the logo, which were cheesy logos now, where it's all just initials. Like Seth Rollins' logo is the S and the R intertwined. That's not a fucking logo. Like the Street Profits, their shit's the same way. All of them are the same way. Don't tell me you didn't notice it. It's cheap, mass-produced garbage. They don't even take time to individualize these people anymore. And anything that makes them individualized, they fucking change it. It's not even about the theme song at this point, man. It's about the general fucking idea that they have to, when somebody gets called up from NXT, they have to change something. It doesn't matter what it is. Like I was cool with them, you know, telling Tommaso Ciampa he had to cut and dye his beard. It makes sense. You know, dye that shit. You know, all right, cut it, make it, trim it up, okay. But changing his theme song, man. Now we don't. I didn't even know who the fuck it was. Like I heard Robert Roode was wrestling Tommaso Ciampa, then I hear this fucking Walmart at 2 a.m. music. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, oh God, there's just no effort. Not even low effort. I'm talking no effort. It's embarrassing. And then I saw a lot of people getting upset that Tommaso Ciampa won via roll up and he didn't just win. Yeah, but at the same time, we're trying to tell a certain kind of story here. And the interesting thing with the Tommaso Ciampa is they're trying to portray him as being younger than he really is. They keep calling him an upstart and treating him like he was some rookie from NXT, and he is countering this statement at every turn. Like when he sat at the announce table and he was talking, this was a couple of weeks ago, that he's been main eventing in NXT for several years now, and he wasn't the main event of some developmental league or some minor league or whatever. This was a top brand drawing real money, and there's some truth to that. Now we see them like this upstart Tommaso Ciampa, like upstart. This fucking guy is about the same age as Robert Roode. this fucking guy. This guy's fucking 40 or something like that. He's 38 or something like that. I don't know. It's a WWE, man. They insist on fucking with people. They insist on making this shit as uncool as possible. That's the only thing I can think of. Is they're being extremely fucking cheap. Everything about this shit is cheap. And it's embarrassing. Because they make too much money for this. It's like, Zuckerberg walking around in $9 Walmart shoes. It's like, yeah, we just because you can doesn't mean you should. Come on. You should want better for yourself. You should definitely it's bad for your production values, for all your cameras and everything to be sweet as fuck. But then for your Titantrons to be plain, your t-shirts to be plain and bland, and nobody wants to wear that shit, and nobody wants to blast the theme songs anymore. People used to actually work out to the theme songs and shit. Now people don't even want to do that anymore because their theme songs are trash because you're trying to cut corners on that. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. It's bigger than just Tommaso Ciampa's theme song. It is a recurring issue with WWE trying to cut corners. And it's absolutely abysmal. And it's really ruining the product. It really is. Because it's coming across. This is TNA in 2002 tier theme music that they got running through everybody. Every time they change somebody's theme, it's low effort garbage. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound unique. I don't know when the last time they changed somebody's theme music and it was actually dope. I can't tell you. Maybe Alexa Bliss. Maybe. Other than that, it's garbage. And they need to stop doing that. Anyway, after the Tommaso Ciampa wins, he gets jumped by the Dirty Dogs. Nobody did anything. And then Dolph Ziggler says that he's going to learn the 2-time tag team champions will prove to be the dirtiest dogs there is. I'm like, okay, whatever. Then we got more trash. Dana Brooke and Reggie defeated Tamina and Akira Tozawa. The whole point of this was that everybody can get a kiss. Dana Brooke kissed Reggie again. She's very aggressively kissing him now. I don't know what's going on. And then Tozawa got his kiss from Tamina too. I don't understand the point of this either. But Tozawa's Looney Tunes reactions to all of this was absolute gold. Go back and I know you probably shouldn't put yourself through this, but trust me, it's funny. Go back and watch Tozawa as he is preparing to be kissed by Tamina, and how he's gulping like a cartoon character, like gulp, and then he starts blinking a lot, and then he kind of puckers up really slowly. He was so funny. I hated this so much, but he was so funny. And then he finally gets the big kiss, and you basically see hearts floating around his head. And he's going, he's swooning like a Looney Tunes character. It's fucking hilarious. Everything about this is bad, but Tozawa being the lovesick puppy is fucking funny. It's funny. I was like, I hate this shit. But watching Tozawa, he was fun. He put smiles on faces, man. Smiles on faces. It worked. All right, match 6, the Mysterios versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. I refuse to call them the Hurt Business. Rey Mysterio says that they were humiliated last week by Miz and Logan Paul, but WrestleMania are going to be done with their BS. Then Dominic said words, but who cares because he's Dominic Mysterio. The Miz then said words. I didn't capture most of what Miz said. But he says that Logan Paul is more of a man than anyone in this building, that he went toe-to-toe with the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, and that he's getting... when he says that some people were cheering after the Mysterios got a skull-crushing finale, he says, could this be the respect that I deserve? And they, of course, people booed. So this was basically just a lead into the match. Get through this shit in the microwave. I get it. The Miz wants the respect that Rey Mysterio has. I get that. That's a simple story. You can't mess it up too badly. The Miz is an egomaniac. He wants to align himself with Logan Paul because Logan Paul has all these Instagram followers and all that stuff. I get that too. What I don't get is the point of this promo. You know, I get why Miz trying to sell Logan Paul to the audience. You know, he's a big strapping gentleman who did fight, I think, Floyd Mayweather. Look, I don't know which one was up with these Pauls. I think one of them fought Floyd Mayweather. It might have been Logan. It might have been the other one. I have no fucking idea which one it is. And I don't care. All right. Ultimately, one of them fought Floyd Mayweather. The other one's fighting washed up MMA fighters. Doesn't matter. This guy is a big dude. He boxes or whatever. This is not that big of a problem. I'll say a lot of people making a big deal about this. It's no different than when they had Snooki, which, you know, people didn't like that either. It was what it was. But it's just one of those things, man, where at the older generation, my generation, we probably don't understand the Pauls. You know, I don't understand them. That's why I'm pretty sure, you know, when I went to watch WrestleMania 11, my friend's dad was like, you know, what the fuck is up with like Salt and Pepper? You know, like, who the fuck are they? That's not Gladys Knight. That's not, you know, I know. That's not Gladys Knight. Ain't no Shaka Khan. You know? I mean, it is what it is. You know, so when you're doing something and you're saying, hey, we're trying to get people who are relevant to the time that exists, they're not trying to go out there and, you know, dig up Michael Jackson or anything like that. You're trying to get relevant celebrities to the time. And sometimes those celebrities are vapid, you know, and they're celebrities for being celebrities. But you still bring them in because, you know, they get to promote WrestleMania. So Logan Paul is going to be involved. Anyway, Miz distracted Rey, got Rey to chase him out of the building. Then Shelton Benjamin rolled up the Mysterios and won. So Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander won a match, but they did it by pinning Dominic via roll-up. The less said about this, the better. Because I really don't want to get mad about them still referring to Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander in a certain way. I'm going to Voldemort that shit. I'm not going to say the words until the team is actually back together. But them being marketed this way is fucking offensive. It is offensive. And the fact of the matter is, these two teams, if they were allowed to have a good match, could have had a hell of a match. Cedric Alexander and Rey Mysterio could have had a hell of an exchange. I know Shelton and Rey. Matter of fact, have Shelton and Rey have they had a lot of matches? I know they've been in the company around the same time, but I don't think Shelton and Rey have had a lot of matches. You know, they could have had some really fun stuff. Dominic can be there to learn. But I'm talking about Rey being in there mixing up with Shelton and Cedric. It could really have some fun stuff if they cared about Shelton and Cedric, which they don't. and probably just gonna have him lose next week. It sucks. I forgot to talk about Riddle, who said he put the high in Ohio. That was funny. Nobody cares. Carmella and Zelina accepted Sasha and Naomi's challenge. I mean, it was pretty simple. They just said, "Oh, we accept." Then Zelina said that she's been watching the show with Carmella and Corey Graves, and all they do is talk about sex. And Carmella says that if you think all we do is talk about it, wait till after we win the match at WrestleMania. I may just put on another little show in victory. I never wanted Zelina to lose more than I want her to lose now. I never wanted Zelina Vega to lose a match more than I want her to lose that match. There's nothing I want to see less than Carmella and Corey Graves. I do not want to watch a man have sex with a blow-up doll. I don't want to see that. That's masturbation. Why would I want to watch a man masturbate? I don't want to see that. That sucks. No, thank you. You can punch my ticket out of there. Okay? That sucks. All right, but we're not going to talk about the main event stuff. We're going to skip to Austin Theory and Pat McAfee. So, people thought, oh, Vince McMahon's going to fight Pat McAfee. Oh, how wrong you were. Austin Theory is concerned for Mr. McMahon. He said, it's been 20 years since you've done a sit-down interview. Remember the last time you did a sit-down interview? You smacked the papers out of that guy's hand. What if that guy would have jumped on you? And Vince just kind of looked at him like, And he's like, what if Pat McAfee jumps on you? What if Pat McAfee says something to piss you off? What are you going to do? And Vince just kind of like, maybe. I don't know, pal. What am I going to do? You going to finish that sherbet? Anyway, Austin Theory volunteers to be in Vince McMahon's corner during this conversation, to which Vince told him it's not going to be that kind of show and gave him a pencil. Remember, last time he gave him a pencil, he told him that the eraser was the most dangerous weapon in the world. And I'm guessing that's where Austin Theory's new gimmick is going to be. He's going to be the eraser. So that could be a new gimmick, but I don't know what that means yet. The thing with Vince and Austin Theory is they're clearly going in a direction where Austin Theory is going to be Vince's new guy. He's going to be his new hand-picked Drew McIntyre child of destiny. I'm getting that, he kind of did it with Randy Orton too, but not in the exact same way. So whatever is going to happen to Pat McAfee, it's going to happen on Thursday. It's probably going to happen to his own show. So this means that is Austin Theory going to erase Pat McAfee's show? That's the theory, well, no pun intended. That Austin Theory probably going to start a problem and lead that to fruition. But they are, in some respects, showing you that this was the plan from the beginning. It was never the plan for Vince to wrestle Pat McAfee. It was always for it to be Austin Theory, because clearly they're going back to the whole pencil thing. So, like Vince said, it's not the sharp end that you have to worry about. It's the eraser. So we're trying to figure out, the eraser can make things disappear. It can change things. It has a lot of power, that eraser. So let's see where it goes. He gave Austin Theory another pencil tonight. Kind of a clue to what he wants Austin Theory to do. And if Austin Theory is smart, Austin Theory will be able to figure it out. Right? Right. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff of Raw after like 40 minutes of bad shit. Finn Balor defeats Damian Priest to become the United States champion. This was good, and they left a lot on the table because they're going back to it. Finn Balor wins the title. After the match, Damian Priest says, the people carried you. The moment he said that, they started booing. The moment he said, these people carried you. Boo. I was like, damn. And he says, that motivation, that respect, I never got that. I retained my championship in spite of that. And I'm going to win it back in spite of that. And there ain't nothing all that motivation and respect can do about it. Then he beat up Finn Balor, clotheslined him, knocked him down, and then Razor's edged him on the announce table, and he skidded off the announce table. I was like, wow. The table didn't break, which kind of made things worse. Like, I would have felt better for Finn if the thing would have broken. But the fact that it didn't break, I was like, woof. Oh boy, that didn't look good. This was needed. Damian Priest, they have been teasing him turning heel for a while now. They've been jumping back and forth with it. The idea of it, soon as the heaven and hell thing that they started doing, he started getting mixed reactions. People did not like all the disqualifications. He got disqualified at Survivor Series. He got disqualified a bunch of other times too. People was getting tired of the disqualifications. It was really frustrating. And it ruined what goodwill he had before. He had some real solid babyface momentum when he was the Archer of Infamy. And then they did this heaven and hell thing, and it sucked. It sucked because it ruined what he was doing already. That was the only reason I was against it. Because I felt like it was kind of encroaching on the already established lore. If you could have done that, you could still have done the whole, you won't like me when I'm mad. You could still do that same thing in a way that would not make him look like a dickhead. But what they chose to do would make him look like a dickhead. And we see that they did it for a reason. So, Damian Priest has only lost 2 matches clean his entire run. The first match, he was able to bounce back, beat AJ Styles. But this time, he was completely outmatched and he lost the title. I think him losing the title was a great catalyst for the heel turn. Because his character is all about, respect. He wants people to respect him. If he feels like people don't respect him, he's going to flip out on you. And so now he's saying to himself, the people don't respect me, therefore I'm going to flip out on them. But I can't beat them up. So somebody has to be the stand-in. Like, Damian Priest can't go and just start fighting the crowd. So somebody has to be the stand-in for Damian Priest. Somebody has to be a beloved babyface for Damian Priest to beat up and to get out his frustrations. And Finn Balor is perfect for that. Considering he's just smiling Finn babyface. He's not the Prince, If he was the Prince, it'd be a completely different situation. But, he's just smiling Finn Balor. He could have been anybody. He could have been Ricochet at this point, But Finn Balor winning another title, that's very cool. It's very good. I like this. Damian Priest needed this heel turn. Now we're waiting on Rhea Ripley. She's another one that they ruined. They ruined Rhea Ripley again by doing the exact same thing they did with Damian Priest. I shouldn't say the exact same thing. By doing a similar thing to what they did with Damian Priest, which is trying to play both sides. When she won the title, she was a huge babyface, and then they decided, she's going to start working heel. And then they introduced Charlotte, which turned Rhea babyface, and it was a whole boatload of butt fuckery. And Rhea has been off the beaten path ever since. They did that to her. Because she was a babyface going into that WrestleMania match. There was no need for her to turn heel. And then she did turn heel, then she couldn't maintain it because a bigger heel showed up and took her heat. Not the same thing here with Damian Priest, though. Here, when it comes to Damian Priest, he was a babyface that they changed his character, changed his theme song and everything, and fucked it all up. But now he's a heel. It might work. This might be very good. I'm looking forward to him and Finn Balor at WrestleMania. That ought to slap. That ought to be very good. It ought to be a great opening match. So the close of the show, Edge has been waiting for his opponent. Who is his opponent going to be? And he is left waiting for a little while. And he gets a little frustrated. He's like, what the hell happened to this place? And then AJ Styles' theme plays. AJ Styles comes to the ring. Edge is smiling. He's glad AJ Styles is the guy who picked up the challenge. says, I wanted this for a long time. You wanted this for a long time. They have wanted this for a long time. And then he says, you know, I want the bulldog. I don't want that guy who's been playing bitch in the tag team for a year. And that was like, ooh. And then AJ didn't get to respond before Edge sucker punched him. Started to pound all over him. You know, AJ fought back a little bit. Was about to hit him with the phenomenal forearm. It didn't work out. Edge kicked him in the nuts. Or as one guy on Twitter said, the Jesus zipper. And then gave him 2 concertos, for which the crowd chanted one more time after the first one. See, this is how you know the crowd is just in on the game. You know, one more time. Hit the babyface in the head with a chair one more time. Come on. That's like that fight forever. It's like nobody wants you. If you want a real fight, nobody wants it to go on forever. Everybody knows that fighting hurts. It's not good. We don't want it to go on forever. We want you to win. So Edge turns heel. Now, the first thing I will say here is having both Damian Priest and Edge turn heel in back-to-back segments, probably not the best idea. Should have spaced this out. Maybe Priest should have turned next week and let Edge turn this week. So you have 2 straight-up heel turns back-to-back. I'm not a fan of that. Second, they escalated so quickly. I mean, we went from, I don't know who my opponent is going to be, to fuck you, die slow in like 3 minutes. I was like, why is Edge bashing his head in with a chair all of a sudden? You know, like maybe Edge will sit in the ring and explain it next week. But I kind of don't want him to explain it post hoc. You know, I don't want a post hoc justification for this. I kind of want to know, maybe it's going to be, this is going to fire up AJ Styles. This is to motivate him. Maybe that's the angle we're going to go with on this, is that, you know, Edge bashed his head in with this chair to show that he was serious and that he wants the real AJ Styles to show up and all that kind of stuff. But I just felt like we kind of went far. You know, like we turned the microwave all the way up on this one. Like we could have had a great, and plus, you know, Edge being the heel is very interesting. Because I thought AJ was going to work heel here. At least that's what I thought. At the same time, though, they did just put forth a lot of effort in making AJ a top babyface. You know, again, after his heel run with Omos, they did turn him babyface and, you know, gave him a couple of big wins and everything. But Edge turning heel, interesting. Not wanting to go with the Legends, the classic, you know, Edge is Edge, Styles is Styles. You get to pick, you know, make a choice. They decided to go with Edge being heel. Interesting. Very interesting. I love the match, obviously. Tremendous contest that they've got here. I just wish they would have put some story behind it, and maybe they'll microwave something. They'll come up with something next week. They got 4 more weeks, 5 more weeks or whatever to come up with story. But this is going to be, this could very well be this generation's Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. This could be. And I'm telling you straight up, that Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle, just hearing about that match is what got me back into wrestling. You know, that and outside the ring segments with JBL chasing Mexicans around the border and stuff like that. I heard Shawn Michaels wrestle Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, and I was like, wait a minute. I think I'll need to see that. You know, and I heard also Randy Orton and Undertaker was on that same card. Which is why WrestleMania 21 is one of my favorite WrestleManias. Bar none. I don't give a fuck what any of y'all think. I love WrestleMania 21. You know? And I just heard that match occurred. And I was a lapsed fan. And was like, okay, Shawn's back. Okay, Kurt's still there. There's a lot on this show that I can get into. And it made me watch the show. I went and bought the DVD. That's how much I wanted to see the show. And it got me back into wrestling. So there's probably going to be some folks out there who are going to be like, Edge being back is fun. You know, they kind of wasted our time a little bit with the Miz thing. That was a little bit of a vacation for them. But the stuff with Seth Rollins was really good. The stuff with Randy Orton was really good. The stuff with Roman was really good. This could be really good too, but they're not going to have as much time to tell this story or to ruin it. So that's a bit positive. You know, they didn't fuck over the Seth Rollins story as much as everybody thinks they did. I think those two guys were excellent. I think that was an excellent feud. But the Roman thing, oh, they fucked that. It was too much time in between. They fucked that one up in a major way. Between January and April, they had pretty much fucked that story up completely and shot it full of holes. They're not going to have that opportunity here because they only got 5 weeks. Maybe, and if I had to make a guess, Edge just wants to try to bring out the worst in AJ Styles. And Edge has constantly been saying he's going back in his bag, the whole brood Edge, and this is kind of a peek back to the reeking of awesomeness Edge and all that kind of stuff. But you're also going to have your rated R superstar, like he's been doing the grit Edge since he came back, earning your scars, the second mountain, climbing the second mountain and all that kind of stuff, trying to be inspirational and shit. But if this is a peek back at, bits and pieces of the rated R superstar, this is what everybody wants. Because Edge is at his best as a heel. And AJ was at his best as a babyface in TNA. So if that's where we're going, I like it. If we're gonna put people back in their natural element, AJ Styles is a very natural babyface. He works a very babyface friendly style. But he's a little bit harder hitting now than he used to be. A lot more fiery than he used to be. He's not as athletic as he used to be. He's 40 with a bad back. He can't do spiral taps, all that kind of stuff anymore. But you might want to break out something special for WrestleMania. But I don't think he needs to. You're talking about something that's first time ever. They only made contact one other time. And that was in the Royal Rumble. You can't get bigger than this. This should main event day one. I'm not going to lie to you. Saturday Mania, the main event should be Edge versus AJ Styles. Just based off name value. You don't need them on the same card as Brock and Roman. You don't. Let them main event night one. I know they're probably going to let the women main event. Specifically Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. Whatever. This should rightfully be the main event of WrestleMania. Night one. Because if they tell this story correctly, this is going to be the most intriguing match of the night. And if you put them on 5th or something like that, you've killed the women's main event. Because I don't see the women beating this. Nobody really cares that much about Ronda Rousey. She doesn't have a lot of natural groundswell of people are interested in her. She just doesn't have it. I think you have to tell the truth. Like most of the cheers for Ronda Rousey is just anti-Charlotte. The moment she goes against somebody who's not Charlotte, she's probably going to get booed out of the building. And that's just being real. So I think AJ and Edge definitely steal the show. If they're allowed to go out there and do their thing and they're allowed to get some time, AJ needs this though. AJ needs this. He came into WWE and he stole everything. That feud with John Cena was tremendous. And all those years of everybody saying, what if, and they finally got in there and they tore it up. Well, the only other guy, there's 2 other guys that when he was on top in TNA that you kind of wanted to see AJ go against. One was Randy Orton, the other was Edge. He had some matches with Randy Orton. They were good, but I don't think they were on the level of his matches with Cena. But I think that these matches, the matches with Edge, could certainly be on the same level as his matches with Cena. I think psychologically they may even be better. Edge is a little bit older, but he's just as over. And I really, really am interested in this. I love this. This is the best thing on Raw so far. This is very good. The Damian Priest stuff was really good, but this has overshadowed the Damian Priest stuff. This is very good. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.